It's time for a death battle!
Rewritten.
The Mask, a total Chad who just oozes big dick energy. Popeye, the Sailor Man.
SpongeBob SquarePants, Nickelodeon's #1 nautical nincompoop. Curious, Stanley donned the mask and was transformed from an everyman to a Superman. The mask itself is alive, and it desires nothing more than absolute carnage. By tapping into its wearer's repressed id, it can turn a nebbish nobody like Stanley into a rampaging serial killer.
Complete with Bugs Bunny powers.
Phenomenon, Toon Force. Think of characters such as Bugs Bunny, Popeye, and Michael Jordan. A being that wields Toon Force seems capable of accomplishing almost anything they desire so long as they find it humorous. With this power, the mask can manipulate the laws of physics whenever he likes, even breaking the fourth wall. Regardless, Toon Force allows the mask to summon any kind of weapon imaginable from thin air.
Everything from oversized guns and rocket launchers to whoopee cushions, dynamite, anvils, hell, anything from the good fellas at Acme.
Toon Force users can manipulate their bodies in any way they like, whether it be stretching their limbs, inflating themselves like a balloon, or shapeshifting into giant monsters.
And best of all, you can't really hurt a Toon. Well, at least not in the normal way.
Right, it's not that the mask has a specific healing factor or some such, it's more like he can just say no to damage.
He's had holes blown in him, had his head cut off, stripped his own flesh from his bones, and was blown up into a bloody pulp. He can outpace Lopes.
However, the scariest thing about the mask's use of Toon Force is how it affects the world around him. In most cases, the rules of Toon Force are applied to the user and whomever or whatever the force is affecting. Cars and knock over buildings with ease. He can dodge point-blank bullets and run fast enough to set the ground on fire. He has survived massive explosions, giant robots, and being kicked in the testicles so hard he flew. Lobo and the Mask raced around the entire planet several times in the span of just a few seconds, and then crashed into each other in an absolutely gargantuan blast. Based on their after-trail rings, and given an estimated time frame of less than half a minute, which fits given the context, they must have been going over 9 million meters per second. There's only one way to really stop the mask, and that's by removing the mask itself.
Good luck trying. The only way is if the wearer has already decided to let it come off.
The conscience of the person the mask possesses still exists, and could be reasoned with or tricked into removing the mask.
Like when Lobo threw a guilt bomb at him after he murdered hundreds of people.
But the mask itself has an astronomically powerful influence on its host. Popeye's body is essentially made of, well, rubber, able to stretch, twist, squish, and squash any way he likes.
Or rev up his arm for a punch that'll knock you around the planet.
Popeye's punches are fascinating, since they can disincorporate their targets into composite elements, like turning anchors into fishhooks, an alligator into handbags, and several Native Americans. You know, I don't even want to know.
Basically do whatever he wants. He can shoot fire from his corncob pipe, pull a canyon closed, punch bolts of lightning out of the air, and even give the sun a black eye.
Judging by the distance the sun is from the Earth, as well as the time it took for the high striker puck to reach it, the puck must have been moving at 500 times the speed of light. In order to generate that force, Popeye must have swung his fist just as fast. Hell, he's even shadowboxed so fast, he's somehow occupied 2 places at once and hit himself. The secret to Popeye's immense physical strength is simply the virtue of nutrition. Popeye has spent his life consuming a miracle herb that has turned him from a mere sailor into a veritable god. Spinach. Its effects are multiplied. Not only does it immediately increase Popeye's already impressive strength and speed even further, it makes him virtually impervious to harm.
It lets him fly, turn invisible, shapeshift his body into literally anything, and even survive the universe getting turned off. Then he turned off reality in order to kill Popeye and his friends. 'Cause why not? Except guess what? Popeye was fine. Why? Because he eats his spinach.
By measuring the volume of this spinach stock and including the caloric density of regular spinach, we can calculate one single can of Popeye's spinach contains over 46 undecillion calories.
It's over 46 million Yoda tons of TNT, enough to destroy, Well, a star, or enough to punch your annoying neighbor so hard that when they land, they tilt the Earth.
By measuring the angle of the planet after tilting, we can determine its axis was adjusted by about 13 degrees in less than a second. That's a speed of about 1.8 million meters per second.
I wonder, is that enough to power a rocket ship so fast it travels backwards in time? Yeah, 'cause that happened normal.
Not true. Popeye doesn't consume some special magical spinach. Any kind will do, even if it's handed to him by the audience in the real world watching his cartoon.
He can summon cans to his side by whistling for them, praying to gods, painting them into reality, or just waving his hand. The dude has literally been disintegrated into nothingness, then his nothingness grabbed a spinach can out of nowhere and ate it. Nothing ate it. His nothing. And then he came back with his I don't know.
He can even punch so hard he tears the film strip he's being animated on, or exit his cartoon to beat the shit out of his own animator. He's a painfully naive man-child, or the time he effortlessly rotated the entire planet. Huh.
He can stretch and shapeshift his body any way he likes, duplicate himself through asexual reproduction, and absorb immense amounts of liquid.
From an entire lagoon to, oh god, enough water to replace the moon?
Oh, and for some reason he has an insane healing factor. He survived being torn in half, vaporized, having his soul removed from his body, and literally being unraveled out of existence.
Is his control over bubbles. Be Green Lantern ring, his bubbles can become anything he wishes, from guided cruise missiles to sentient life and entire bubble societies. That's a pretty similar effect to his magic pencil, which can draw anything he wants into existence and erase it from reality just as easily.
Even the mundane becomes godlike in SpongeBob's yellow hands, like his reef blower, which hoovered up the entirety of Earth's oceans in seconds and then exploded on top of SpongeBob all at once.
It's estimated the entire mass of Earth's oceans is about 1.5 quintillion tons. Kinetic energy of over 6,000 yotatons.
That's enough energy to nuke Jupiter 13 times over. And SpongeBob was completely unharmed.
His hydrodynamic spatula isn't just an impromptu bladed weapon, it's also his primary instrument to create the greatest foodstuff Bikini Bottom has ever seen. The Krabby Patty.
A burger so delicious, it's basically magic. It can nullify mind control, heal wounds, and even detonate.
SpongeBob has survived nukes point blank, hugged his best friend Patrick so hard their DNA fused, can ride on the scene transitions, and once cried so hard he flooded Bikini Bottom. He once grabbed a hold of this mysterious string and unraveled the entire universe. He literally undid the fabric of reality in seconds. Fresh Plankton's Plan Z won the Battle of Bikini Bottom against an army of killer robots, and even teamed up with fellow Nickelodeon stars Timmy Turner, Jimmy Neutron, and Danny Phantom to save the Nicktoons multiverse.
His biggest weakness is that he's a giant, suicidally naive idiot.
And depending on the humidity of the atmosphere around him, being out of the water can dehydrate and permanently incapacitate him.